Oh, hey there ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between and outwards. I was just writing a script for a show I'm making. Now, I've been writing since 2018, and honestly, it's probably some of the most fun I've had creating something, well, ever. Even though not much of what I've made is actually out right now, this is honestly something I think I'm pretty good at. Writing for animation is just so freeing because there's no boundaries and the sky is the limit. The industry itself is full of the most innovative, creative, and just fun to watch TV shows and films out there. I don't think... Oh, come on, really? Right in the middle of a take? Oh, okay, so I'm basically f***ed. Listen, this episode's going to be a little bit different from every other episode I've made before, because unlike those episodes, I'm going into this one with a completely serious tone, as every time I've tried to write it in my usual jokey way, I've written myself into a corner. So, for this episode, I'm going to be completely serious. As somebody that wants to work in the animation industry, and also just a general human being, the last 3 months have been kind of terrifying. The world's economy is crashing, that f***ing war is still going on, and more specifically to this video and my fears, the animation industry is kind of dying. Now, that last line might confuse some of you, as American Dad is still making new episodes, and quite frankly, animation hasn't been better. We have both animated TV shows and animated films coming out really soon that look phenomenal. Spider-Verse, I'm looking at you. And I've never been more excited. I don't think the people making them feel the same way though. Now, the mistreatment of creatives and their work is nothing new. Just a week before writing this script, Mick Gordon was coming out about his terrible time working for id Software on the Doom Eternal soundtrack. So, yeah, this isn't anything new. But like, alright, so how many of you are still mad at David Zaslav? For those who don't know, this weasel is the president and CEO of the Discovery Channel, which then merged with Warner Bros. Media in 2022. Since then, David Zaslav has removed and cancelled 36 animated shows and movies. 36! 36! Some of these shows include Close Enough, Final Space, Infinity Train, and a bunch more. The Cartoon Network show Summer Camp Island had been in the making for 5 years. Hours and hours and hours of love poured into the writing, the animation, the backgrounds, the voice acting, the music, everything. All for big guy David Zaslav to knock on the door and say, yeah, those years of work you all put in, well, that's my toilet paper now. Completely removed from HBO Max. That's one example, but for fun, let's talk about another under the name of Infinity Train. If you don't know what Infinity Train is, you probably live under a rock. I can't escape the damn thing, and for good reason. The show is wonderfully creative, tightly written, and just a joy to watch. Originally in the script, I said that I've only watched halfway through season 2. I have since binged all 4 seasons, and everyone agreed. In terms of new, big shows on Cartoon Network, Infinity Train probably got the warmest reception since The Amazing World of Gumball. And I guess Steven Universe, but I mean, f*** Steven Universe. The pilot alone had people frothing at the mouth for more. People were addicted to this thing, me included. Now, there are only withdrawals, as the show was cut short after season 4. This wasn't the show ending because the creator wanted it to end. In fact, he had another 4 seasons planned, but while the 3rd was airing, all of the crew and most of the production staff were just laid off, completely out of nowhere. So why was the show cancelled? Unrealistic expectations and ignoring the teen demographic. This, as it stands, is already pretty shitty. But then somehow it gets worse because just like Summer Camp Island, Infinity Train was removed from HBO Max. And then everywhere else! Any and all clips of it on YouTube, removed. Digital versions to purchase, wiped clean off the face of the earth. Physical copies of the show, once they are sold, they are gone. Infinity Train was slaughtered, decimated, purged. Some official clips have been made public again, but the show itself still isn't on any streaming services. It's not available to purchase on digital stores, and I don't know if they're making new DVD copies, probably not. But as of the making of this video, book 1 and 2 are still in stock. So if you're looking for a way to watch the series or have a way to rewatch it later down the line, I'd recommend grabbing a copy while you still can. Those are only 2 shows out of the dozens that were either cancelled or outright removed from HBO Max. We, the viewers, no longer have a direct way to experience these shows and films that many of us, when we did have the time, came to love. I said in the very first episode of this series that Final Space was one of my favorite shows. I loved the characters, I loved the animation, I loved the story, and I love its origins. Not only because I relate to his humble beginnings, but also because the guy put in a crap ton of work. Olin Rogers, the creator of Final Space, went through so much bullshit to make the first season alone. If you at all like the show, I'd recommend you go and watch the short documentary Alone in Space on his channel. He burned through all of his money on hotels, thousands of miles away from his wife, feeling lonely and just generally shitty, all to try and get a show greenlit where it might not even work out in the first place. I can't begin to imagine how unbelievably painful that must have been for him. But he made the show! 10 episodes of a really strong, beautifully animated first season. And then he got to make 2 more seasons, which are all great in their own right. But sadly, Final Space 2 was cancelled after season 3. For the longest time, fans were wondering why it got cancelled. The obvious example at the time was that Warner Media was merging with Discovery, but Final Space already survived a merger and was more popular during its second season. Well, when all of these other shows were cancelled or removed and people found out why, the fate of Final Space made a lot more sense. A f***ing tax write-off. All that money, all that work, all that bullshit for nothing. If you're inside of the US, you can't legally watch Final Space or a bunch of other shows anywhere without a VPN. I can't afford a VPN. I'm also British, so I have Netflix International, but eventually, that's gonna be gone too. I have a Blu-ray, but not of season 3. They never made one. So all of the work that's been put into it, for most people, is just gone. Nobody will be able to watch it anywhere legally unless they pirate it. Which leads on to the next thing I want to talk about. As I made my point clear in that weird-ass cold open, creating stuff is a really important and special part of my life, and I'm sure that many of you watching this video feel the same way. Whether you're animating your own sketch idea or are composing music for a TV show somebody else made, the sheer amount of effort creatives put into their work is incredible. From personal experience, I bust my ass off for the things I create. In fact, I'm even gonna self-promote my video from a few months back where I reviewed every single Pixar film, and it's 3 hours long and I spent forever making it. Please watch it. Now, imagine me making that Pixar video, but times that by 50 people, all working on something way more advanced and higher quality and doesn't have shit lighting, under a much more strict deadline considering the weight of the project they're working on, getting paid way less than they should be, all to make a show that, knowing some of these streaming services, is going to get cancelled before the episodes are even released. But they managed to do it. They pull through just in time, after sleeping in at the office for a full week, crunching like an insane person, and putting blood, sweat, and tears to make a show that you're probably going to sleep through. But now they get to go home, see their families, their partners, their pets, their kids, and show them the fruits of their labor. Why they couldn't go to their kids' graduation, why they couldn't go to their husband's birthday party, why they weren't there to play Sonic Frontiers on release day. Then, when they log on to HBO Max, they realize that this slimy stain has decided that the thousands of hours they put into a finished project was for nothing! Now, yes, that scenario is really specific, but there were still people who worked on these animated shows that actually said that the only way you, or even they, or their loved ones, or their friends, can watch the work they slaved away for months is by pirating it. How fucking pathetic is that? The amount of effort these creatives have put into their work and it's taken down like it's nothing is just sad. And I get it, I do. They've probably still gotten their check, probably, which pays the bills. They're probably getting severely underpaid considering the industry, but they are still making money. But that's only half of the reason why most of us do these jobs anyway. Yeah, of course I want to be paid for the hours of work I put into my videos and scripts, but a part of what fulfills me in my line of work is seeing people watching and enjoying and taking something away from what I made. Knowing that people actually laughed at the dog shit jokes I make, recognizing the work I put into it, saying how they were enjoying it so much that they sat through the entire 3-hour video in one sitting. That's what keeps me motivated, and that's what keeps me happy. Seeing the work out there and seeing people enjoy it. Which is why it sucks so much that many of these shows were taken down like they were f***ing nothing. If I'm repeating myself a lot, I'm sorry, but I'm really trying to hammer in the point that working in TV or any creative industry, it's not an easy job. So seeing all that work just disappear, it must be heartbreaking. You know what else is heartbreaking? The way these people are treated while doing all this work. Once again, this is an issue that spreads over basically every creative medium. Especially games from what I've seen, but I still want to talk about this. And the recent news about a certain media company makes discussing this issue much easier. Now, how many of you know of the name Cockbite? I mean, Rooster Teeth, though yes, there are a lot of Cockbites in that company. For those who don't know, Rooster Teeth is an online media company founded in 2003. They created Red vs. Blue, Ruby, Camp, Genlock, Day 5, that last one's a good one, not gonna lie, and all for the internet. Rooster Teeth has a certain face it likes to put on towards its audience. They're pro-LGBT, they don't accept racism, and mostly, they care about the people watching their content, and they care about the people making their content. Which makes the last few years pretty damn awkward for the company. In June of 2019, dozens of Rooster Teeth employees went to Glassdoor.com to talk about their negative experiences with the company, describing a terrible workplace environment and terrible crunch culture. According to some employees, 1/3 of both Ruby and Genlock were made for free due to unpaid overtime. I'm gonna say it again, what the f***? The issues mainly came from Gray Haddock, the director of animation at Rooster Teeth at the time, taking resources away from other shows and pushing them onto Genlock, a show that was so massive in scale that even after taking those resources away, they still ended up abusing a lot of the team that was working on the show in the first place. Oh, but it gets better! Because Caden Jensen, a former Rooster Teeth employee, was overworked and unpaid for over 10 months of contract work. And, to make things even better for her, she was called the F-slur constantly around the office. And when they couldn't call her that on camera, for obvious reasons, they called her Fugs, which is just a shorter version of the F-slur. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm smiling! I'm smiling, but it's only because I'm so enamored by how you can do something that shitty and get away with it for so long. When she went to HR, they did nothing. When she went to the heads of Rooster Teeth, the founding fathers, the people who I've been looking up to for years, they just said she was too good to work at the company and should find another job. What the fuck? After this story came out, dozens of ex and even current Rooster Teeth employees came out and talked about their experiences with the company. And while none of it's as bad as what I've read Caden's gone through, none of them were really treated well. I know a lot of you are probably sitting here wondering what this has to do with the animation industry and why I'm talking about 2-month-old drama. Well, first of all, a lot of the complaints towards this company came from the animation team, so still works in that context. And for two, if it isn't obvious by looking at this channel, Rooster Teeth was a massive inspiration to me. They made videos and shows for the internet, which, get this, that's what I'm doing. And they treated their employees with respect, and they treated their audience with respect. And it was just beneficial to everyone. It created a nice community. So it kind of hurt me to learn that most of that was bullshit. And that's one company. That doesn't include the dozens of others that treat their employees like shit, that go through loopholes to pay them less, or just delete their work. Writers, voice actors, artists, animators, audio mixers, all of these different roles, all of these different people work so hard to make the shows and films we love to watch. And all the while they are making these things, and while they are working like crazy to do so, they're being treated like crap. And it just sucks to see. So, too long didn't read, shit's fucked. As somebody that wants to work in the animation industry and wants to make a show of my own, the industry itself and the future of it doesn't look too good. Hundreds of hours of work are being deleted, thousands have lost their jobs, and the people that are lucky enough to still be employed are most likely being treated like shit. So, what's the solution? No, seriously, I'm asking you, I've no idea, I'm pretty new to the industry. Okay, but seriously, I don't know. Every time I think of one possible solution, there's always a bunch of things that go against it. The most obvious solution is that companies stop doing the shit they do, but considering the direction good old-fashioned capitalism is taking, I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. The other best solution is to put rules in place to stop companies from doing this shit. Now, to get this point straight, the company does have the right to give us whatever they want, just as they have the right to take it away. I wasn't saying it was legally wrong, I was just saying it was morally wrong. What is illegal, or at least should be, is how these people are being treated in the industry. It's bad enough that their casual work hours consist of hard, stressful work that is usually on a tight schedule, but it's when those people are forced to work past their 9 to 5 without pay, multiple days a week, sometimes for months if it's that bad. That's when it becomes a problem. We call that crunch culture, which I won't delve much into here because Noodle exists and you should go and watch his video on it. He talks more about the gaming side of things, but it's basically the same story for the TV industry. Now, for once in this video, I actually have some good news. Over the last few years, the Animation Guild had been negotiating with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers without reaching any conclusions. But finally, in May of this year, a new deal was struck, promising better wages for the industry in America. This is a step in the right direction, but it's still not ideal. And considering how long it took just to get better pay, I doubt the rest of the issues I've gone through are going to get fixed all too soon either. Though, again, I'd prefer it if big companies just didn't treat their employees like crap. I don't think it's that hard. You can be a profitable company without being an asshole. That's been proven. Listen, I get that this episode has been a lot different from every other episode of this show that I've made, and I get that you've probably already heard about this topic to death, but there's a reason I wanted to talk about it. It's because I'm kinda scared. No, like really, I'm kind of anxious about this. This is a medium I've grown up with and have loved since I was a kid. And it's a medium I've wanted to work in since I got into high school. So seeing it in its current state, yeah, of course I'm a bit anxious about it. Not only because it's where I want my career to go, but it's the entertainment I watch every day. Truth be told, I don't think the animation industry is dead. In fact, I don't think it's ever going to die. But it's not exactly thriving right now, is it? And that's something I really hope will return someday. And for f***'s sake, just pay your employees. It's not that hard, and treat them well. They bust their asses off for you, and this is how you repay them? Oh, what's that? The virus halted all live action shows nearly entirely, and you had to rely on the animation industry just to carry your sorry asses? Well, I guess animation isn't as useless as you thought, is it, huh? Oh, and another thing. You are aware that people work better, produce better quality work, and will still get stuff out on time if they aren't a burnt out mess, right? Or did you not learn anything from being human in the last 62 years, you dumb fucking cunt?